This podcast is really special. I really want to thank Simran Kaur, ma'am. She is really a delight to talk with. When it comes to mental wellness, she has that personality and an aura which actually reflect what kind of mental wellness she has attained by herself, by uh, being a person who has achieved such kind of success in an early age. She is a pass out of IAS batch of 2010, after which she has took position into postal services, and she has been serving from past 14 years. It makes her uniquely positioned in order to understand, uh, have a perspective about how mental wellness is crucial in formulating a future leader and being a team leader. When it comes to a team that she is handling the entire Pune region. So I think it's a bigger gamut of different type of personality, different type of people. So maintaining that particular credibility and trust, because postal services has been there from past more than 100 years, I guess, from the time of and it has a very strong legacy of trust and credibility throughout India. This podcast would be one of those podcasts which would shed light on most of the small nuances, basic, but yes, very much tested, embedded into our tradition, which are really relevant to us. Simran ma'am has that particular kind of a kind of a relatable examples that she pulls in this podcast, that makes this podcast really relevant to anybody who is listening and who is into a position of leadership or preparing themselves to become the future leader into civil services. I really enjoyed this podcast and I hope that you would also enjoy. So without any further ado, I start listening to the podcast. If you have any comments, if you have any suggestion, you can put it down into the comment box, and please follow our channel so that we can bring uh, people across public and private sector into leadership roles and other roles who can share their wisdom about how to prepare ourselves and also make our work environment more resilient. So thank you for listening to me, and let's listen to Simran man. Let's jump into the podcast. Welcome to our podcast, ma'am. And we are really
Thank you.
honored to have you on our podcast. And today's topic is really going to be one of the topic which is going to be like a lighthouse or a kind of a guiding light to most of the women leaders and women who are working there, even the policy makers who would be taking, formulation of policies or making certain procedures into the systems. Your guidance, your experience would be one of the guiding steps towards making an cordial
Thank you.
environment
Thank you.
for a lot of employees that would be coming in future, and also the leadership that are right now holding those places. So welcome on podcast, and we can
Thank
start
you.
this discussion.
But I'll just like to add,
Yeah, sure.
I am a 2010 batch Indian Postal Service officer
Great.
from the civil services. So actually, probably perspective might not be available to the people who might be viewing this podcast if they're not aware what is my designation, because traveling the length and breadth of the country is like hundreds of people are doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm a civil servant, and by virtue of that, my job entails that I interact on a large scale with a large number of people in public service.
Great, great. So taking all those, I think that makes your personality very much oriented towards how you can analyze people's situation and come up with one of those leadership, situational leadership, I would say, that is more into theory, but I think it would be more into practice when you are being there as a leader. And being a person who have seen all those mindset around and look at that particular situation in a certain way, which will make sure that that particular situation is going to be something that would make an environment that is cordial for both male and female that are working with you as a colleague, as your supervisor, as even the customers whom you're facing, and understanding their requirements. So the first question that I want to ask, because this kind of mindset gives you a very unique perspective to look at any situation, because no matter how many people have cross the length and breadth of the country, but you would be having a kind of a service perspective. When you go into postal service, I think this is one of the most oldest civil service department that is there, and it's still thriving in the age of digital age. Still, people have a lot of credibility on postal service, and when it comes to credibility, it is all because of the people who are working with them. It is not about the assurance of the technology, but the assurance of the people and the trust that the system has entailed in surviving that particular environment. And when the trust comes in play, I think there is a lot of human aspects and a lot of human competencies that come into in action when this kind of trust has been embedded in the system. So I think leader like you would always have that kind of mindset which actually propagate that kind of trust, and certain things would be ingrown in you. Some of them would be achieved through the tradition, to the upbringing that is there, and some of them would be acquired by you, achieved by you, nurtured by you. So this is the journey that we are trying to encapsulate in the today's podcast, and this would be kind of a walkthrough for a person to see in like how future leaders can be, and what kind of environment that you are working in, and what would be the future problems that you would be encountering. So the first question, as we were trying to discuss, was what was the initial years or the initial part of your journey when you started, since your childhood, how your upbringing was, how you got into IS, what inspired you, and what kind of mindset during that particular formative years was there, which actually made you what you are right now?
So I've had a childhood which was full of freedom. So I can say that my parents have given me that kind of an upbringing wherein they have never made me feel that I am a female and I am supposed to be behaving in a particular way, which is considered to be feminine.
Right.
So I've had an upbringing which was more of a humanistic upbringing. I'm a human being,
Right.
and everyone else around me is a human being, and I have to reach my fullest potential to my best of abilities, best of my capabilities, and that's how my life has been, my growing up years. So I was never told कि अरे आपने ये नहीं करना है because आप लड़की हो, या I've been given that kind of a confidence that आप ये कर सकते हो, जाओ करके आओ.
Great.
उस तरीके की अपब्रिंगिंग हुई है, पहले से ही वैसे की अपब्रिंगिंग थी. एंड सिविल सर्विसेज, आई कैन से दैट I have actually been in touch with a large number of officers from the armed services
Right.
during my growing up years, and when we start having a perspective of life. So I used to at that time feel that I wish I have those qualities where I can also become an officer.
Great.
So I can say that they were one of the inspirations that has made me draw this, chart out this path for myself. But I can say civil services is something, everyone gives, a large number of people give the exam, a large number of them put in a lot of effort.
Right.
It's really back-breaking effort that people put in. But there's a very, very big ray of grace. It's only by grace that you get selected. I will never say that it's my capabilities because of which I am selected, because there are a large number of very capable people out there who have not been able to make it in the civil services. They are doing well in their other spheres of life.
Right.
But I will never say that it was me, myself.
No, that's a really humble way of putting forward. But when I look at people who have been selected into IS or services, when we say services, because I've been from a service background, I've done my BHM in Bachelor's in Hotel Management, and most of the time it was not the skill set that are higher, it is more of the behavior that is hired in services, because services is all about how you make other people feel. It is always the customer end. We call it services because it's all
Because
human,
it's public service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it is very humble of you that you are saying that it was all of because of grace, because I think it was something, some of the traits which panel have identified, which would be a kind of a they have seen certain kind of capacity and capability. That is something
Yeah.
that makes you a unique candidate, and selection is all about that only, because via skill set, I think everybody has made their point across while giving the first attempt and second attempt and all
Yeah.
those technical aspects. But the interview is the, is a deciding factor.
Yeah.
So I think this is where the mindset plays a very big role. When you have when you are saying that I was inspired and aspired by the environment that I was working with or I have grown up with. There is a lot of responsibility on the individual to inculcate and nurture those kind of traits. So when you are growing up, which are the three qualities that you think that has made your mindset a bulletproof one? Because I do understand, while getting competitive with a kind of a male dominant sphere, there are a lot of aspect, being in women or being from a feminine dominant psyche. You have to inculcate those kind of strengths, which you think that there are three things that were lacking in Simran, who was like 20 years back, and now you can see those kind of traits has actually developed and nurtured you and actually have taken care of you in certain situations. So what are those three aspects or the competency that you
Let
think?
me think. Actually, okay, I can say that my work experience has made me. There are a few things which have changed about me. It's because of the work experience.
Right.
Probably one I can say is I have gotten a bit of patience, which I was lacking. I was majorly lacking on patience as a growing child. But I can say, okay, patience has come in. Another thing is an acceptance.
Right.
You'll never ever get any ideal situation
Very true.
to perform. You'll always have to accept the situation as it is
Right.
and make the best out of it and give the best out of it.
True. Very true.
So I can say acceptance to a very large extent.
Hmm.
Probably gratitude can be
Gratitude.
another.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So I think these three are the means the pillar which actually makes your mindset very much. This is research as well.
Okay.
When you talk about mindfulness, I have recently learned about mindfulness and stress management.
Okay.
And one of the most biggest anecdote, or the what I can say, the anecdote, I would say the antidote, that is not an anecdote, but the antidote for stress is gratitude. So Harvard itself has actually made this study, and people who are very much into phase of gratitude are very less in percent of stress. Their stress level are really controlled, more controlled than the people who are not expressing the state of gratitude. In the beginning of the time they wake up, so there is a kind of a gratitude journal that you have to practice. There are certain kind of
Okay.
gratitude exercise that you have to do, so that the stress level usually get reduced. Even being patient or acceptance is again one of the most stoic principle that is there, when Epictetus and Aristotle used to talk about that. That acceptance is one of the biggest cornerstone of people who have actually attained stoicism. Stoicism is all about the philosophical part, where they accept the reality, and a lot of kings were operating from stoic philosophy during the Greece and Roman
Greek
period
times,
part.
right.
So these were the cornerstones of those philosophies were inculcated, and I think most of the leaders who I have been talked with, their acceptance and gratitude is one of the two common trait that I have already they have been discussed so many times, and I think
Okay.
everybody has a spectrum of how they express it.
I think life experiences probably develop these kind of, or they just make you realize these things
Right.
in life.
Great. So that was a really good insight, because I think that to our audience it would be very much important that how to practice gratitude and how to have an acceptance mindset, because acceptance is not about just drawing out of the battle, just laying your weapons. It is not about that, or
It's not
raising
an
your shield.
it's not an escape also.
Escape. It is not an escape. It is all about realizing that this is the reality. I think it is being very much acknowledged about what is the reality,
Right.
and not living into fantasy. So this is where when you start really, living in the reality, that is where the spiritualism or the philosophy which comes in play. And as a leader, because you have been bombarded and you have been introspected by a lot many people in and around, I think acceptance is the biggest.
And you're always
difference system.
being judged.
You're always being judged.
Always being judged. You're always the center of a lot of scrutiny.
Scrutiny, right? True.
Yeah.
Great, great. So I think this was the great insight. Going to the next phase of our discussion is that while definitely these three are the cornerstone, and definitely they are going to get chiseled and more refined as you have been,
With
into
life.
with your life. And when you are working into a team of varied cultured or psychological aspects that are coming into a team play, team dynamics, what we call on, and the most evident is male and female, which you will always see into civil
It's very
service.
loud,
It is
yes.
very loud out of all those, and then it has a lot of nuances of the cultural background when they are coming
Absolutely.
from. What are the class background that they're coming from? What kind of religious background they're coming from? So we in India we have a very good case study of how different spectrum of mindset and the variation of that particular aspects would be there.
Absolutely.
So while being a leader and while being operating in those particular environment, how you managed being a effective leadership, being an effective team member, being an effective leader, and being an effective family person. So there are three questions
aspects in
to it.
one question.
One question. So you can tell me, like, you'll start from person,
As
or
a-
you can go reverse way back.
I'll start with the as being a team player. See, one thing is that you kind of know your objective.
Right.
You know that you have to achieve this objective. You're given a task, you have to achieve it. So it's always a win-win situation for everyone if you're a team player rather than a leader.
Right.
Because a leader is one-sided. He's on one side of the table and the team is on the other side of the table.
Right.
So it's a better option to be with the team. So you'll be able to first of all empathize with the team. You'll know their problems. You'll be able to find a solution to their problems. And you'll, because you know their problems, you will know how to achieve your objective.
Right.
Because if you're on the other side of the table, you'll just listen to the problem. You won't know it. So I feel it's always more effective to be a team player. Is particularly in the initial phases of your career. Later on, with experience, you really don't need to go too much into the depths of it. But initially, it's always advisable that you be a team player. That not only leads to your acceptance of your team, but also their acceptance of you as a leader, because you're given a job.
Right.
So it's better that they accept you as a leader so that the friction is reduced between the two.
Right.
And so as a team, I will say that be more empathetic, be more aware, receptive. Those are the words, those are the qualities that are needed while being a part of the team.
Right.
And building the team itself it's a challenge, because it's the team which is going to be delivering. You have 10,000 people under your control at any given point of time. So right from the time that you are posted, you're having a large number of people who are reporting to you. But then there are some results that need to be delivered as a civil servant. And there are some services that need to be provided to the citizens. You need to ensure that implementation of those policies or providing those services is actually effective, and it's on the ground, in the field. It's going to the last member in the in the public.
Right.
So you have to achieve that objective. So you know all the entire 10,000 people are not going to be working. It's always a Murphy's law which plays. It's always the 80-20 rule. You have a handful of people who are very, very effective, and there are a major chunk of the people who are not as effective. It's not that they don't want to be effective, it's the capabilities.
Right.
So identifying the team, then being part of the team, and then out of the team you become the leader. Because आपको उनकी आपको अपने अचीवमेंट्स को, अपने गोल को अचीव करने के लिए क्या आवश्यक है, वो आप प्रोवाइड करके दे दोगे, तो आप सेकेंड फेज में आप लीडर बनेंगे. फर्स्ट फेज में आप इमीडिएटली लीडर बनना शुरू हो गए तो हो गया काम, आपका काम नहीं होने वाला है. और फिर तीसरा आपने क्या कहा था, फैमिली एज अ डॉटर, एज अ ओके.
So before going that, I think I have one example that you have really beautifully placed in terms of how to be a leader And when you are becoming a leader, there was one saying that we used to have into our hotel management, that you are a chef and there are thousands of chefs who are preparing the same dishes. Okay,
Exactly.
like गली गली नुक्कड़
हर
नुक्कड़
जगह
पे
पे मिल
वड़ा
जाएगा.
पाव pasta pizza, everybody would be serving those particular thing, and you would be wondering that what I'm going to do differently, even if I make it differently. Okay, there was one instance when we prepared some dishes and we were presented to the customer, and to my knowledge it was the best one, okay, as a chef.
Okay.
And I gave it to the customer and he said, yeah, it was not good, it was not up to the thing. And one of my colleagues said that, how you feel now? 4 or 5 years of your efforts, your experience has just been cancelled by one person tasting your dish.
Yeah.
What do you feel? I remember my sir used to say that a chef would prepare a dish as per as his knowledge, as per as his taste and his style. Accepting it by the customer is totally his choice. This is an uncontrollable element of the situation.
Absolutely.
And when you become a leader and a team player, you know that what is the objective. No matter how it has been translated to the other person, it might be offending, it might be something, it would be excruciating for them. But at the end, you know that this is the objective and this is the only way that we can achieve. There would be certain things that would be crushed. There would be certain things, my image would be dampened. I would be certain, in certain areas, I would be named, I would be called name. But when I have to have that kind of balance, there would be certain win and there will be certain loss. So accepting that particular part, as you said, that there will be certain friction, but allowing that friction is also one of the biggest
Don't
quality.
allow it to happen.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, no matter how much, as you say, no matter how much you try, there will be lot many people who would be criticizing you at the other end.
Yeah, but then I'll tell you, there is one thing. If you do something with utmost honesty and sincerity within yourself,
Right.
there's no need to worry about who's going to say what about
right.
it, because as long as you're true to yourself and you're true to the ultimate objective. I'm not talking of the objective that is like
The target.
जो टारगेट मिला हुआ है या जो गाइडलाइंस ऊपर से मिले हुए हैं या जो डायरेक्शंस ऊपर से मिले हुए हैं. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग ऑफ दैट ऑब्जेक्टिव, आई एम टॉकिंग ऑफ द अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव. लाइफ का जो ऑब्जेक्टिव होता है उसमें आपके एक उसमें एक सच्चाई होती है, एक उसमें इंटेग्रिटी होती है, एक लॉयल्टी होती है, उसमें एक ठहराव होता है. आप अगर उस ऑब्जेक्टिव से कोई भी कार्य करेंगे तो सामने वाले तक वो बात पहुंचेगी और फिर वो क्रिटिसिज्म तो होता रहता है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता उसका.
Great. So I think so. If I talk about the objective,
Yeah.
which part of you says that this is the right objective? Like, what is one thing? Like, for example, give an instance in which there are certain, let's say, there are certain things that have to be achieved, but at the end, what would be the breaking point for you? The deal breaker. That okay, अगर ये होता है तो that means everything is like acceptable. But if this thing is not happening on level of leadership, then I won't accept it as a, it has happened. It will be a deal breaker for me. For me, it would be in a relationship not being honest or not being transparent, not being, able to forthcome, or I am not able to share with that particular person. That trust is not built. So for a leadership, in any given situation, what do you think? What would be the deal breaker?
See, like if I'm in public service, so my objective would be to provide service to as many members of the citizens as possible. अगर वहाँ पर मेरी सर्विस क्वालिटीज़ डाउन हो गए या मेरा जो ज़्यादा लोगों तक वो सेवाएं पहुँचाने का जो हेतु है, वो हेतु अगर कहीं से कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ हो गया बिकॉज ऑफ large number of problems,
Right.
internal problems, so then that won't give that much of satisfaction.
So to sum up, it is like the core principles or the core values.
Yeah, core.
Those core values.
You can say that.
If those are achieved, I think rest, everything is secondary, which would be a stressor.
Exactly.
I think if you are looking at the bigger picture, as you said earlier, that in a leadership, if you're not able to see the bigger picture, you as leader would always be into stress, and that is going to affect your mental wellness.
Further, it will affect the team also.
Team morale as well.
Yeah, because if you're in stress, you're going to transfer that stress.
Very true, very true. So coming to the second aspect, as we just stepped down from the leader to a team member, as you've already said, but when it comes to a family member or being a family member, how that particular stress and what kind of methodology that you like. A lot of people carry their work or their stress to their homes from their workplace. When you are a leader and you might have developed certain kind of techniques or certain kind of things that would it would no it won't be a switch on and switch off, but it would be some kind of distraction or some kind of diffusion, not distraction, diffusion. Distraction is totally different. Diffusion. So is there any kind of diffusion method or diffusion what I would say a mindset that you practice to diffuse your work stress and coming back to your home when you are like totally one person, that okay, this is Simran Kaur, this is not a DPS or DSP, so now I'm not the role, now I'm the person. So
Right.
is there any kind of mental trick that you do or any kind of practice that you have that you practice when you come back home? Because
No, actually, there's no time for it. There is no time to switch on or switch off. You can't shuffle between roles.
Right.
You are as you are.
Right.
And I don't make that kind of, I don't have a switch on, switch off, as you said. I don't have that thing. Anyway, as a civil servant, as an officer, you are an officer 24 by 7, 365 days of the year. Even if you are on leave, you are an officer and you will be working.
But do you think that is
So-
a healthy expectation and a healthy practice as a person when it comes to that particular level? Because
And if you look at it from, if we go to a philosophical, if we just change the paradigm and we go to a philosophical discussion about it, then I can say that there need to be times where a person can entirely de-stress. There needs to be that much of time given to a person, and nowadays the policies are also being formulated in such a way
Right.
wherein you need to unwind. You cannot be continuously wound up. You cannot be around the clock. You cannot be on job. So as an officer, I won't say that that's that much of needed, because we've been trained in such a way that we are able to achieve that work and life balance pretty reasonably okay.
So what is your go-to
But-
technique? What I would say, like, what if I want to talk about one technique that has to be given to the listeners?
No, I won't say one technique. There are, you need to develop yourself. You need to inculcate certain values. You need to inculcate certain qualities within yourself as you mature, as you grow. So you need to start. Okay, one thing is there definitely yoga, meditation, or reading the scriptures. But most importantly, I would say is, go to your roots. Be whatever is given to us, जो हमें पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी मिला है, जो हमारे कल्चर में है, जो भारतीय संस्कृति का भाग है, उसको पूरी तरह से अगर आप अपना लोगे तो आपको ये वर्क और लाइफ दो अलग अलग नहीं लगेंगे, सब एक जैसा ही लगेगा. बिकॉज हमारे जो पूर्वज थे या हमारे जितने भी हमारे ऋषि थे या जितने भी हमारे शास्त्र हैं, वो हमें एक्चुअली जीवन जीने की पद्धति सिखाते हैं. तो आप अगर उनको पूरी तरह से अपना लो तो आपको वो डिफरेंस महसूस ही नहीं होगा. अरे मैं कितना स्ट्रेस्ड हूँ, वो फर्क महसूस ही नहीं होगा. आपको घर में रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज निभानी है, सो दैट इज अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो आपको निभानी है. आपको उसका स्ट्रेस नहीं होगा, क्योंकि आपको पता है कि ये मेरी एज अ डॉटर और एज अ वाइफ और एज अ मदर ये मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं, तो ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज मुझे निभानी है. उसका स्ट्रेस होगा ही नहीं. साइमल्टेनियसली आपको पता है कि आप आर्थिक फाइनेंशियली स्टेबल होने के लिए आप नौकरी कर रहे हैं या बिजनेस कर रहे हैं या कोई भी काम कर रहे हैं. बेसिकली जीवन यापन के लिए आप नौकरी कर रहे हैं. तो आपके माइंड में ये क्लैरिटी होगी तो आपको उसका स्ट्रेस नहीं होगा. अगर आपकी लाइफ की प्रायोरिटीज जो हैं वो क्लियर नहीं है, आप थोड़ा सा धुंधला सा है, पूरा आपका लाइफ मॉनेटरी बेनिफिट के ऊपर आधारित है, या हम किसी से बात करेंगे तो मुझे इससे क्या फ़ायदा, या मैं फलानी जगह जाऊंगी मुझे उससे क्या फ़ायदा. अगर आप हमेशा फ़ायदे नुकसान के ही दायरे में रहकर अपना ज़िंदगी जिएंगे तो आप हमेशा स्ट्रेस में ही रहेंगे. तो जस्ट forget the फ़ायदा नुकसान पार्ट ऑफ इट and live life as it comes, one day at a time.
That is a good insight, I think. But do you think, yani, is pure right? We have the responsibility of managing our responsibilities, understanding our roles. Okay, But there are certain kind of glitches that are there. There are like what we call it as emotional labor. When we talk about a lot of expectations that are there from a woman, because when you look
Okay.
at
Yeah.
a work environment, uh, there would be a total like there would be a switch, expectation switch
Yes,
that would
yes,
be there
that is
because
there.
so as a woman when you are operating in this particular part, when you are going into that work environment space and you are expected to have that switch of a male mindset and coming back home to a female mindset, which is more nurturing, more caring, more responsible, more a kind of a sacrificing person. But for a male, it is totally a different ball game
Absolutely
altogether.
different. Yeah.
So in that scenarios, how do you think how the environment has to mold, or what kind of awareness that has to be within the workplace and within the family members, and if there is not, what kind of steps a person who is working or whoever member is working right now, what kind of things that they can follow so that somewhere that emotional labor that is there which is overburdened
Particularly
on
on
all
females.
females, that can be reduced. Because why I'm
Right.
saying this, because there is a data that is out by Deloitte and WHO that the 56 percent of anxiety and stress disorders are found into females over
Yeah.
the world, and it is all because of in working
Working
female
women.
working women, because they have
Yeah.
to do the juggling altogether, and with that juggling they have to make a lot of compromises. There are a lot of imposter syndromes that comes in, wherein they keep on even they are performing, they will always take that as a compliment. They would say, no, I am not doing my best. So even if I say you are a good leader, you are a good housewife, they will say, no, I have to
I can
be
do
more.
better.
I have to do more. I have to do more, and this is where the stress levels are going skyrocketed high.
Right. So
So,
what happens is, yeah, you're right. Actually, when you're working, like now in public service, see, 8 or 9 hours of a day where you're actually commanding people, you need to have that masculine energies which need to be taking charge of yourself. So it's expected also and it's needed also.
right.
So you need to work like a man. You need to be taking decisions. You need to be taking difficult decisions. You need to be getting people to get. It's not easy to to make people work. It's easier to do the work yourself
Right.
than to get people to work. So that itself is a very demanding kind of a work for a female because that's not her natural nature.
Naturally.
Yeah, so she has to develop those masculine energies within her for that much period of time, where particularly when she is physically present at the workplace.
Right.
Uh, Now, what happens is 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours, she's trying and working with that male energy.
Right.
Okay, 7 to 8, 6 to 7 hours, 6 to 8 hours, she is sleeping. बचते कितने हैं कुछ 6 घंटे
4, 5, 6 hours.
4-5 घंटे 6 घंटे. So in those 4-5-6 hours she does not have that much of energy to be a female back home. So her feminine kind of goes down. The feminine energy reduces. So what happens is this is going to take a toll on her physical health, mental health, hormone imbalance, PCOD, and a large number of other problems. People are nowadays, ladies are unable to get pregnant. They are having mental issues. They're taking anxiety pills. They are undergoing a large number of treatments through psychiatrists and psychologists for their balancing their mental and even emotional health. So I would say that that's not the nature of a female. She is not meant to be a man. She's meant to be a female. So that's how nature has made her. She's supposed to be nurturing, caring, more aesthetic, more inclined towards art, having some culinary skills, maybe a bit of gardening, a
Right.
bit of kitchen gardening, not very major heavy gardening, not
Right.
that,
Right.
but simple gardening. Those are the kind of things which kind of nurture her, develop her as a female. Dance, singing, music, any form of art, painting.
Right.
So these are all very feminine, intently feminine kind of qualities and tasks which develop more of her feminine energies.
But when you talk about this is really actually true. But when we come to a globalization and corporate opportunities and all those things.
नहीं अभी
this
मैं
would-
खत्म नहीं हुआ है मेरा.
Ani, this would need, what would happen? This particular thing that you are saying, this is something ये environment देना चाहिए. For
नहीं वो
feminine.
नहीं मैं कह रही हूँ.
हाँ, so
मैं
this
वही
will
मेरा
take-
खत्म
this
नहीं
will-
हुआ. नहीं.
See, this will what it will have a counter argument by male perspective that then why you're working? Question mark. So
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. So a woman who is working, who's doing those kind of tasks which demand her to be by and large having masculine energies, how is she going to retain her feminism?
Right.
Is she going to spend the other amount of time that she has at hand, maybe even a holiday, on nurturing these qualities which fulfill her as a female, even being a mother?
But do you think somewhere, like for example, I'm going to give an example to you. When we say equity, we don't say equality. We say equity. Equity is about giving a win-win situation or making an environment cordial for both gender.
That's only from financial perspective.
No, equity in the sense for environmental as well. Because for example, if there is a handicapped person who is entering into a building, I have to develop a ramp for him to
that
enter
way.
into a building. So if it is a female who is working or female employees who are going to work with in this environment, do you think this particular aspect where women have been pressurized to work as a men, but can we have an environment which actually accept women as women leadership?
I'll come to that. But
Yeah.
पहले मुझे वो feminine वाला
Yeah,
part
fine. I
जरा
will- I
खत्म
will
करना
just-
था.
I will-
Because I was just having
Yeah,
a
sure. Yeah.
my mind was flowing in a particular
Sorry.
direction. So
Yeah.
what was it that she's ठीक है, her job demands any kind of job. I'm not even talking about public service. Any other kind of job, even if it is a corporate sector job, it is demanding her to be by and large masculine, which she is generally not. So if she has to retain her femininity, she'll have to work upon these qualities.
Right.
Anything that helps her grow
Express.
into that grow into that feminism. That's all. So that would be one aspect which will help her remain sane.
See,
Otherwise, आप देखें तो nowadays the ladies who are working particularly in the corporate sector, I'm noticing that they are into all those things that men are into for stress relief,
right.
which is not good neither for men nor for women, and more not for women. Even if it is something as simple as drinking alcohol or taking a cigarette.
Right.
So, but it's not natural for a woman to smoke. It's not natural. Nature has not built her that way. So it's going to take a toll on her body. First, because her body is more
Complex.
not complex,
In terms of
more
hormonal secretion.
fragile. Not fragile. Also, it's more sensitive.
Sensitive.
Her body is more sensitive than a man's body. So it will first take a toll on her health.
Right.
And these are some of the things which any woman is doing these days,
Right.
and it's kind of becoming the norm. Why? Because she's not getting aware that मेरी feminine qualities खत्म हो रही हैं क्योंकि मेरी job की ये demands हैं.
Right.
तो अगर वो उस feminine qualities के ऊपर थोड़ा सा अपना समय लगाएगी तो शायद उसका वो stress वहाँ पे release हो जाएगा.
Right. Right.
एक एस्पेक्ट वो है. दूसरा, कमिंग टू योर क्वेश्चन जो आपने पूछा कि इक्विटी की बात करते हैं कि ऐसे क्या हम कर सकते हैं कि विमेन को थोड़ा सा एनवायरनमेंट कंजीनियल टाइप का हो जाए. सो आई वुड फर्स्ट आई विल ब्रिंग टू यू एक दो पॉइंट्स हैं जो मुझे एक्चुअली काफ़ी बार मैंने इसके बारे में सोचा भी है कि आप एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं, द सोसाइटी एक्सपेक्ट्स that a woman should be working as much as a man to earn money.
Right.
But she is working more than that. She is working in the morning because she has to take care of her family, her kids, her in-laws or her parents. She is working again in the evening because again she has to take care of her family, her in-laws or parents and kids, take their homework, prepare food, ensure that her parents receive a cup of tea and dinner or breakfast or prepare lunch for them while she's at work. Those are the kind of responsibilities which naturally come on a female.
Hmm.
They don't naturally come on a male.
Male, right?
They naturally come on a female, and female has to tell कि मेरी आके मदद करो, मेरे से हो नहीं रहा है.
Right.
तो अभी इसको how do you make it into a kind of a
Gender neutral.
not gender neutral? I won't say that.
No, because as you said, it was very naturally accepted, expected. I was expected that a woman has to go and she has to tell, somebody to come and help me. Wherein can't we be gender neutral task? कि okay, ये कोई भी कर सकता है. You have to like if it is there.
वो नहीं मैं कहूँगी. मैं कहूँगी कि इसे सीधा जो बात एक माँ में है, पिता माँ का रोल नहीं उस तरीके से अदा कर सकता है जो माँ एक माँ का रोल अदा कर सकती है, क्योंकि वो शी इज मेंट टू बी दैट. सो यू कांट एक्सपेक्ट अ फादर to, I mean, with all due respect to the single fathers, I'm not commenting on that part. The life situations are different for everyone.
Right.
But I'm just giving a very large scale perspective, जिसमें सब कुछ normal है. So it's normal for a woman to take care of her children in a particular way. तो आप अगर उसको पता है कि she has to earn some money for herself. She also knows that she has to take care of the health of her kids, because those kids are tomorrow's citizens of India. तो उनकी अगर सेहत ठीक नहीं है तो वो भारत की सेहत के ऊपर असर करेगा. तो काइंड ऑफ उसके ऊपर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि मुझे अपने बच्चे को अच्छा पढ़ाना है, काबिल आदमी बनाना है, सेहत से तंदुरुस्त बनाना है, किसी तरीके के नशे में उसको जाने नहीं देना है. और बाय एंड लार्ज उसके ऊपर मन में है, चाहे वो उसे बोले नहीं, बट उसके मन में है. तो एक काम ये हो सकता है कि आप इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग एंटायर 8 hours वर्किंग डे टू अ वुमन, गिव हर अ 6 hour वर्किंग डे और अ 5 hour और अ 4 hour वर्किंग डे. इक्विवेलेंट पे कर दो, मतलब यू डोंट नीड टू गिव हर एन 8 hour पे, गिव हर अ 5 hour और अ 6 hour पे, एंड शी विल बी ओके विद इट, आई थिंक, because she'll be able to reasonably well handle the other responsibilities. Right. That would be probably one way of helping her out.
Or option that would
Yeah,
that option would be definitely
giving her that option.
We are coming to the third part and the third section of podcast, in which I want to ask Simran ma'am, that is the entire system, the world or the workplace, is it designed to really facilitate a mental wellness safe place for women? What is your take on it?
Mental wellness तो बहुत दूर की बात है. Let us see, there are two aspects. एक outer world होता है, एक inner world होता है. Let us first start with the outer world. See, if you see, for example, our mobile handsets, they are so big that they don't fit into the hands of women. Women have smaller hands than men.
Right.
The handsets are designed by men,
Right.
so they are able to operate it with one hand.
Right.
But by and large, women are not able to operate the handsets, mobile handsets, with their one hand. They have to use both their hands to be able to type a message or to do any work. So पहले तो पॉइंट तो मोबाइल फोन से ही ले लो. सच एन इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ आवर डेली लाइफ्स, वो ही हम ऑपरेट नहीं कर पाते हैं. बीइंग अ फीमेल, आई एम सेइंग दिस पर्सपेक्टिव, गिविंग दिस पर्सपेक्टिव दैट it's never thought of from the female point of view. Look at the trouser pants, the trouser pockets of ladies pants or ladies kurtas or ladies salwars. The trouser pockets are so small that you can hardly put anything into it, and they are placed at such a wrong place that even the mobile phone, even if you manage to fit it in, you're not able to sit with the phone inside. Compared to a man's trousers, their pants are so deep, their pant pockets
are deep.
They're so deep that they're able to put such a big handset into it, along with a large number of other things. So we carry a handbag to facilitate make our lives easier.
Right.
So ये तो हो गया outer world. आप seats, car seats देख लो, bus seats, train seats.
Right.
They're all ergonomically designed for a man's body structure.
Physiologically.
Yeah, for a woman, when she is seated in those kind of seats, she has to either sit with her head tilted down or overly tilted back.
Right.
So it's slightly inconvenient. I'm speaking from just the outer
Outer
perspective. Go to the inner perspective. There are a few things which are at a policy level, at a management level. One needs to put their mind into it. That, say, for example, by and large, in the entire month, for a man, every day is the same
Same. Right.
physiologically. But for a woman, it's not the same. Neither is it physiologically the same, nor is it emotionally, mentally the same.
Right.
Because she's got those 4 days to 6 days of time in a month, every month, where she goes through major physical
Turmoil.
issues. She undergoes her menstrual cycle during those 4 to 6 days. And it's not easy to go and start working the same way with the same zeal and the same energy on the first day.
Right. True.
So, this aspect has never been thought of. Nobody has ever spoken about it, nobody has ever thought of it. We're only talking of female empowerment, women empowerment. That women empowerment is only from financial perspective.
Right.
That okay, we're giving her an equal opportunity. Giving her itself implies that you are superior and you're giving her something.
Right.
We're giving her an equal opportunity to maybe become a pilot, to join the armed forces, to join the aeronautical services, or civil services, or police services, or anything. Corporate sector, being a CEO, being the president, director, anything. We're giving her the opportunity. That is first. Second is, at every stage, right from the basic entry level till the very topmost management position, a woman has to prove herself every time, every single time, in every single situation,
Right.
and not individually at the workplace. She has to do that juggling between the workplace and her household responsibilities.
Right.
So that aspect is by and large conveniently ignored. Nobody talks about it, nobody cares about it. So it's like given, नहीं ये तो तुमने करना ही है,
Right.
यहाँ पे करके दिखाओ. अरे
So I think the true empowerment is not only inclusion in terms of only for the sake of admitting a woman or giving the opportunity, but making the environment,
yeah,
making that environment so well organized and not out of sympathy or empathy, but as a part of a right. It should not be taken it as like we are considering it. No, it is a right of a woman to have that kind of facility, which would make sure that she don't have to plead or make an adjustment to a certain level, that the uncomfortness or the mental wellness or the sense of ignorance would be, what I can say, it would be like crossing over the limits and putting certain kind of mental pressure on them. Because I think one movie that we have saw, and it was like first time when NASA scientists, or the first time when shuttle was launched on moon, and majority of the scientists were Afro-American women, and at that point of time they had a very sensitivity towards the
realized.
racism and the colorist. So in that point of time, they used to have toilets which were like in the other building. And whenever the scientists who have actually done the we didn't have supercomputer at point of time, so the calculation, the complex calculation, to the t's that they have to do to land that particular shuttle on moon and bring it back to the earth, it has required a 0.0.1 kind of accuracy. So for those women who are African Americans, scientists, I would say, they had toilets which were like on the other building. Because they were not allowed to use white women toilets.
Yeah, there was a movie.
So now this is where that being in women, and that too Afro-American, and then you are making that particular kind of in compulsion. They are making that you work in that particular environment, but we are not going to give you any kind of ergonomics facilities, basic facilities which would make your work cordial. No. So in India as well, when we say inclusion policy or women empowerment, it is not about only giving that access, but giving the rights. So I think that was a very valid point, because we have seen that kind of practices knowingly, unknowingly done.
Actually, it's very
out of
annoying.
ignorantly of about
By
being
and
ignorant,
large.
because who is going to take the effort, who is going to educate that particular part? Because the majority will always see the convenience that is there,
Yeah,
and
it's actually by and large looked at from that perspective.
hmm,
Nobody talks about these
hmm,
things. It's just that I have been put forth with this question,
right.
and I have this opportunity to say my mind, so I'm saying it.
But I think this is going to hamper equally, because once a woman, because I still remember my mom used to work with state government at that point of time, and the toilets were not that hygienic. The seats were not that comfortable. Like whenever you used to, like, if you have gone to government offices at like 30-20 years back, when
That
it was like
time.
privatization was not that much rampant. Now there is a kind of partial power privatization wherein the ergonomics is something that is discussed or looked into, or even the basic hygiene is taken care of. Previously, back in those days, women used to have a lot of other issues.
And they used to never
They
find any
never
way
used to
to
find a way to
speak
speak it out,
about
or
it.
they were always called that, what is there? You at least got a job.
Yeah.
So I think this is where this is actually the root cause of all the physical as well as the mental wellness issue that comes in play. And if we are going to be the next $5 billion economy, I think the talent that is there into women as well, and that has been proven from past, I think from the time
Lots
India has
of
been
women
freed,
leaders,
that they
yes.
are equally they are like shouldering entire responsibility, maybe academically wise or into scientific field or any other field that you can take. Women have been participated into those fields, and I think somewhere, not somewhere, but eventually, not eventually as well, compulsorily government and HRD department has to take into consideration that how inclusion is taken place and how facilities and the environment are equipped in order to give those facilities to the women, that is the majority half
Right.
already there who are working there. So, and that would that is again, it is hampering the mental wellness, and there might be the possibility that the attrition might happen, because once women are getting those kind of treatment, will she ever come back, or will she recommend, or will she want her daughter to come back to public sector and work, or even her sister or any of her colleague? That is also one of the recommendation that would happen, because okay, this is not going to work, let's, and then we say that the talent goes to the private sector because private sector is pampering woman employee and public sector is not. And
I
is there any
beg to
kind of
differ.
relationship?
No, I think there is ample talent in public sector. Our the scrutiny itself is so difficult
Hmm.
that only the real talent will be selected.
Right.
So I won't say there is dearth of talent
No,
in
but the
the
retention of it,
retention of
yeah,
talent. Yeah, okay, you're talking of attrition.
the attrition and the facility that is there, as you said.
So nowadays things have definitely changed a lot, from sanitary hygiene to workplace aesthetics. Ergonomically designed offices are coming up, and even if you see from the public service point of view, there is always arrangements for seating arrangements for the public, water, drinking water facilities
Right.
available nowadays to the public. And if you see women employees, there are specific gender sensitization workshops which are conducted for both the genders,
Right.
males and females, to make them sensitive to the needs of the female employees. That is from the training perspective.
Right.
There are also, from the gender perspective, again, there are dedicated funds being received only for creating facilities for female employees. So that there are a large number of changes that are taking place in the public sector, which is going to be helpful in the for the female employees from the work perspective.
Right.
Also from the public perspective, there are a large number of changes that are taking place
Right.
to help and facilitate ease of service for the public.
Right. Great. So I think with the new perspective that we are trying to discuss over there, that the inclusion has not to be only on policy level, but the environmental level, the training, awareness. Though we have took certain steps in public sector and it has been improving, but it has to be improved on a very rampant scale. To what level it is happening right now. This is there any instances that you have seen a kind of a drastic change from when you started in 2010 till 2024 that has been really had worked for women employee more from the past 20, 13 years or 14 years
See,
ago?
being a female leader itself gives a large amount of confidence to the other female employees working as your subordinates.
Right.
Because firstly, you're empathetic to their problems. You you understand what they're going through,
Right.
and you also sympathize with them and try to help them as much as one can,
Right.
given the limitations. We all think that, okay, you know, once you get a leadership position you have a large amount of freedom, but that's not the case. You have to, your sense of freedom is limited to a large set of rules within which you have to work.
Right. True.
So that freedom is uh, very limited. I wouldn't call it freedom.
Right.
But being a female leader, definitely you can be more receptive and more sympathetic and empathetic
Right.
to problems being faced by female employees. So if you speak from my work experience, there are a large number of steps that have been taken, from very simple things like opening creches for female employees to holding female marathons or
workshops.
female workshops, or but then these are all to be done at across the your jurisdiction at a large number of different locations, because you cannot have all 10,000 employees
Doing it once.
coming
Yeah,
at
right,
one
right,
place.
Right. So I think with the
So the policy level, those changes are there. Those are the kind of policies which are emulated, and then we ensure that those policies are implemented at the fields.
Great. So the provisions are there. The spread and the reach is something that will scale up as we look at those awareness part, because I think the awareness itself and the effect and the overall ROI, or not an ROI I would say, but the entire are there any kind of survey that happens in terms of calibrating what is the ROI on those kind of programs which really works on mental wellness into public sector? Have you come across any of those, or are there any practices which are happening?
See, if you talk of from the monetary perspective, does it convert into the benefit for the company or benefit for the organization? Then everything is going to be measured only in terms of, अच्छा इसका क्या फायदा है?
Yeah, but I'm saying, is there any kind of way that public in corporates we usually have a kind of an survey in which we try and get the pulse of the organization in terms of how the mood scales are. So usually we have system in place in which we calibrate mood scales of employee every quarterly, which talk about how engaged you feel in
Okay,
the
that's, I
environment.
think,
Yeah.
damage control.
Yeah.
There's not so much damaged in the public sector, so it's not as much needed, I feel.
Okay.
Probably
Alright.
in times to come it might.
So, but what I feel like, rather than looking at that particular part as a damage control, I would say any kind of precautionary kind of measure, if we have that, if you are spending so much money or we have in budget, which
So,
actually taking that
देखो
particular part.
बात वही हो गई ना कि हमने इतना खर्चा कर रहे हैं, इसका हमको क्या फायदा है?
And this we actually calibrate it in terms of how we calibrate it, because we have to, not in terms of numbers but in terms of having a kind of an open conversation that you have.
हाँ, पर वो देखिए, मतलब अगर आप मेरा ही माइंड जानना चाहते हैं तो इट्स लाइक डैमेज कंट्रोल की, ठीक है, हम ऑलरेडी एम्प्लॉय से इतना काम करवा रहे हैं, हमें पता है वो ओवर स्ट्रेस्ड है, चलो ये कर लो, इसके ऊपर थोड़ा सा खर्चा कर लो, कम से कम वो स्ट्रेस कम हो जाएगा, हमारा आउटपुट बढ़ जाएगा. मॉनेटरी पर्सपेक्टिव ही देखना है, तो मॉनेटरी पर्सपेक्टिव में यही देखा जाता है. और आजकल तो बाय एंड लार्ज आजकल लोगों के कोर वैल्यूज ही मॉनेटरी पर्सपेक्टिव से देखे जाते हैं. क्योंकि इफ यू सी दैट, शैल आई कंटिन्यू?
Yeah, sure.
So if you see that, what are the values on the basis of which a person will lead his life? हाँ, कौन से वैल्यूज होते हैं जो हमको पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी मिले हुए हैं, जो हमारी संस्कृति में है, वो कौन से वैल्यूज हैं? एक है वो भगवत गीता का कोर, कर्म करो, फल की इच्छा मत करो. दूसरा है पूरी शिद्दत के साथ अपना काम करो. तीसरा हो सकता है आपकी एक सेंस ऑफ इंटेग्रिटी, एक सेंस ऑफ लॉयल्टी, एक आपके अंदर एक सच्चाई, एक
Right.
इमोशनली आप
Hmm.
स्थिर हैं,
Hmm.
मेंटली आप स्थिर हैं, फिजिकली आप व्यायाम करते हैं,
Hmm.
प्राणायाम करते हैं.
Hmm.
ये हमारी कोर वैल्यूज़ हैं जो पीढ़ी दर पीढ़ी आ रहे हैं, हमारी
Right.
संस्कृति का पार्ट हैं. हम बस भूल गए हैं उसके बारे में. ज़्यादा अब लोग उसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, लोग फॉलो कर रहे हैं. बट देयर वाज अ वेरी लार्ज टाइम पीरियड इन इंडिपेंडेंट इंडियन हिस्ट्री वेयर दिस वाज ऑलमोस्ट फॉरगॉटन.
Right. Hmm.
Now, why was it forgotten? Because we were in so much of poverty
Hmm.
that making two ends meet itself had become the most important task for any person.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So, if a child who's been growing up and he's seeing his father, his mother, they're all striving to make two ends meet. The only concept, they are doing all those rituals and following all the traditions that are taught
Right.
to them, but then they do not have the time to explain those traditions to their children because they are so busy with trying to make two ends meet, trying to run a family in a reasonably good way, that they don't have the time to pass on that tradition back further down to their children. So the children are not able to understand reasons for the traditions that they are following. They're only seeing their parents stressed and overworked to earn some money.
Right.
So what is the core value that for that child? Core value will be कि पैसा कमाना है. I have to earn some a reasonably good amount of money so that I don't have to work like my father and lead a difficult life like my mother. And I should be able to give them a better life. So for that child, his core value becomes what? Earning money. Now that child grows up. That child strives for his life with everything that he has to earn money, to live a reasonably well to do life. Such a child, such a man, after growing up, such a man, he will sacrifice everything of himself to earn money. So, what is his core value?
Right.
Only value is earning money. Is he happy? No. He will look for happiness elsewhere. How will he look for happiness? So that is where corruption will feed in. अच्छा, और पैसा, चलो मैं अपने पेरेंट्स की ज़मीन बेच देता हूँ, पैसा मिल जाएगा. पैसा मिलेगा, क्या करेगा उससे? गाड़ी खरीदेगा. गाड़ी खरीदेगा को क्या करेगा? हो सकता है आवारागर्दी करे, हो सकता है नशा करे, हो सकता है दारूबाजी, मतलब दारू पिए बहुत सारी, कुछ भी. Because he is not having any other core values. To him, his life is only money. Money can buy only these material things. Money cannot buy happiness. Money cannot buy satisfaction, peace, a sense of स्थिरता जिसको बोलते हैं, वो पैसे से नहीं आएगा. तो अगर वो थोड़ा बहुत सोचेगा अपनी लाइफ के बारे में, तो अगला स्टेज उसके माइंड में आएगा, अरे आई हैव सो मच मनी बट आई डोंट हैव happiness, I'm not satisfied, I'm not at peace. So then he will start, the churning will start within him.
Right.
And then he will look for other alternatives, and that is somehow, if his stars are placed in such a way that he is able to meet such people who are able to connect him back to his roots, then he'll start and go back to his shastras and read the Gita, or maybe any other granth, any other shastra which is going to help him lead a reasonably good life.
Right.
So core अगर आपका ठीक है, तो आपका सब कुछ आगे का ठीक हो सकता है.
So when you very beautifully placed actually the entire, what we want to actually get an encapsulated version of where it has to gravitate to. But one question that comes to my mind is this responsibility of an individual? Because why I'm saying this, because 70% of your time of your life you spend with your career or the workplace that is there. So is it a kind of a share place? Because we as a corporate, maybe public sector, corporate sector, or the leaders who are working with them, because we know our team members as good as our family members. So is it a kind of a core or a shared responsibility of the leader as well to make them realize these values, to make a kind of a mental wellness, a kind of an a core value of a mental wellness to make them realize that the traditional value that we hold in, it is not about sitting and going through, or there is a difference between being religious and spiritual.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to mental peace or mental wellness, we will talk about more about spirituality in terms of the essence. When I say religion, what is the essence of religion is the spiritualism. So when the spiritualism come, like when we talk about value, and value comes from the spiritualism part of the religious part. So is it a shared responsibility of the leader as well to inculcate those value in the team member?
So if the leader it's himself or herself is connected to the core,
Right.
he is back to his roots.
Right.
Only then he'll be able to motivate and inspire people that,
Right.
to go in that direction. So when you are a leader, it's more of your responsibility because
True.
people will emulate you.
Very true.
So if you are yourself connected to your roots, you're going to be setting an example. It's a good example.
Right. So it is very much evident that the entire mental wellness, which is value driven, is a top to bottom approach. It is something that percolates from the top to
yeah,
bottom.
you can
so
say that because see, if you see as a team or as a group, if everyone's core value is making money,
Yeah.
then how far can it? It cannot make you go beyond it.
Right.
So you will need something higher to go beyond it. That's how you will. Everyone individually will realize that, acha, I'm not as happy as I thought I would be with a large amount of money in my account. So he himself individually will do something to get out of it.
Right.
But as a team, they won't be able to do it.
Yes.
So it's only a team leader if he himself is beyond it or realizes it, and himself he is established in his core. He'll be able to motivate his people to go in the right direction.
Great. So one more thing that I want to ask is, like, once this the two dilemma that most of the corporate or public any workplace environment faces, that silence breeds silence. So and voice breed voice. The expression breeds expression, and this is a kind of environment which is set by the top management towards the lower, because it is always mental wellness or any value system that percolates from the top to bottom. It is not from bottom to top. So when you are working as a leader, have you seen employees which are able to voice out their opinion very readily? Is there an environmental guidance that you want to give to leaders so that this particular environment is done? Because in my organization, there are people who are very good at voicing out their opinion or make it verbal, but some employees are very good at writing it.
Right.
So both of, because I can have those particular two people in my team who can articulate their sentences very well when they're in front of you, and those are people who can't articulate that when they're in front of you, but they can write well. They want that particular kind of space where they can do it. So have you ever realized this kind of limitation of expression, and have you created an environment?
Now, see, as a leader, it's your responsibility to create an environment which enthuses trust in your subordinates. He should be able to trust you enough to come and tell you something. If he is not able to do that, there might be very important core things that you will not be aware of. So you won't be able to be an effective leader.
So I think it is all about how you are conducting yourself within the team, because this is my experience, because in any given organization when I go, meetings are a very good setup to realize how the dynamics are.
Exactly.
Because in meetings, if you are able to let speak of the junior person,
Absolutely.
then you will know that this is a very democratic setup. And when you see even the seniors are been muted, and in the junior scene that the seniors are muted for giving their opinion or they have been shut down, this is where what happened, that the younger one learns that
One
it is
thing
okay,
more
we don't have
is-
to
yeah.
speak out. So I think it is more of a leader's responsibility
Yeah.
when it comes that, okay, the opinions has to be heard, it should not be shunned, it should not be prejudiced, because I think the microaggressions which we have seen into environment, especially when women leaders are there into a meeting room, they will always have this particular microaggression that they would oversimplify certain things to make you understand as a woman. Okay, there is certain kind of things, right? There would be some microaggression. So, have you ever felt that? You might have felt at some point of time. How you have dealt with those particular things, and how you have made sure that those kind of aggressions are not perpetuated by you when you are a leader. So, what kind of things are done?
Um, I have never felt microaggression because my nature is probably that way where I am pretty confident while talking to anybody, and the other person realizes that confidence. So I've never felt the microaggression as such. But I can say for myself, as a leader, when there are 5,000, 7,000 people under you who are females, they need I need to create a situation in such a way wherein they don't feel that their colleagues, their peers, they should not create an environment for them where they get to feel their microaggression. So that becomes, as a female leader, that becomes my responsibility.
Right. Okay. But I think this, the elements that are there when you are faced directly, indirectly, or you might have seen examples with such kind of practices are being conducted, or might be in your colleagues. So how you have handled those? That is some question that I want to ask, just for the sake of our listener can learn out of that how effective leadership would happen in microaggression, wherein there is a differences of opinion, or there is a kind of
no, I think you create a level playing field. If somebody has a tendency to obfuscate things in front of you to show his superiority, or oversimplify things to show your inferiority, you need to kind of go beyond it, create a level playing field at your own level. So that obfuscation will also go and oversimplification will also go.
This would come with your experience, because it's like a trial and error, because this comes into situational leadership. Because what I feel like when you first time you don't have a comeback, and then you go back in your workshop and then you think, okay, fine, this is what has happened to me. Now next time it would happen, I will have a better
Actually, there's never been so much time for us to think about it.
But I think what happens what I feel like, once we as a women, sometimes you have been very much in that space wherein you have cultivated yourself into being that straightforward, or maybe the communication style, the kind of persona you carry, it might overlap those kind of flaws into people in front of you. But sometimes it happens that in our corporate sector we have this kind of an issues wherein there are certain microaggressions that come in, because in public sector it is very much like we have a lot of rigid hierarchy which are answerable to many replications that are there. When it comes to corporate environment, the replications would just be nominal in compared to that, and the things are there. But why I'm pulling up this particular part is because to certain spectrum, definitely you might have faced those, or maybe in coming future you might
what
be
I
there.
can say is that being a female leader, if you're empathetic to the problems of a female, she'll never feel that. I have actually received letters of appreciation from female employees, individual letters. I have for very small things which were like nothing for me.
So previously you were talking about a leader supposed to have a correct set of values so that his team can be navigated into a proper direction, which would not assured, but at least have a propagation towards a better mental wellness. So what are those two values that you want to discuss, which a team leader supposed to inculcate or propagate within their teams?
I can say probably one is, as a team leader, the leader himself should be pretty established in his or her core. He should be having his priorities and set right, his clarity of vision. Those are very important. And what his core is. That it's very important that a leader who is commanding should be having his core values
Yeah, right,
established, well established, and very close to our Indian Sanskriti.
right. And the second
One
one?
is that. Second is there needs to be an element of trust in the subordinates. Uh, you need to give them the freedom to perform. If you're completely going to be a over controlling kind of a leader who wants to keep everything under control, your performance will also be under control.
Right, great.
If you need to go into the escape velocity in terms of performance,
Right,
and you need to get that satisfaction, and you need to make sure that your employees also get that satisfaction, you need to have trust in the employees and give them the freedom.
great. Okay, great, great. So, if I want to ask you as we are like ending towards the session, and if you want to give three practices that you have actually coached and suggested to your team members, which has worked wonder for them. So, what are those three practices to make them sure that their mental wellness is pretty much sound?
One is, I must say, some form of exercise. You need to be physically fit. So either you do yoga, or you do this, yoga pranayam, or you do any other form of exercise
Right,
which makes you feel fit. You need to feel fit.
right,
Parameters is not important.
right.
So I think one is that. Second, probably mantra jap is very effective.
Right.
I've noticed that even during our training sessions and all, I have noticed that mantra jap is pretty effective. Any mantra, panchakshari mantra, anything, whatever is anybody is comfortable with. That it's very effective for mental wellness, mental stability.
Stability, right.
Probably third one could be pranayam,
Pranayam.
breathing exercises. Settle your breathing.
Okay. Accompany with meditation and other things.
Yeah. I think your mantra jap and pranayam
Pranayam
will
would
take you
take
towards
that-
meditation.
that state itself.
Yeah.
What about modern science, the methodology in which journaling comes in play, or affirmation, all those, or therapy,
The new techniques.
new techniques, or getting
Yeah.
into therapy.
Right.
Do you
So
recommend?
if you're suffering in some form, you're not finding a way out. Initially, you get some kind of help.
Hmm.
Eventually, settle down.
Right,
Get your core and settle down.
right. So I think,
Take a halt. Look at yourself. Have the courage to look at yourself. It takes a lot of courage.
right,
So have the courage to look at yourself. Have the courage to put in the effort to right your wrongs
right,
or to rectify your flaws.
right,
And it's a permanent effort. It's not that आज हमने effort ले लिया permanently हम ठीक हो गए.
very true.
आपको हमेशा, हर समय, हर वक्त, every day, every moment, every hour, every moment you'll have to put in the effort to right your wrongs, to not go towards your flaws, to put in the effort of not going towards your flaws, because your mind is used to working in a particular way. When you see that, okay, ये तरीका मेरा जो है ये मुझे तकलीफ में लेके जाता है, तो आपको डबल एफर्ट पुट इन करना पड़ेगा टू मेक श्योर दैट योर माइंड डजंट गो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर वे.
Right, great.
द ट्यूनिंग इज बिल्ट इन सच अ वे कि जो कन्वीनियंट पाथवे है वो पाथवे लेता है. Synapses take those pathways,
Right.
and then you have to put in the effort to make sure that it doesn't go that way and it goes some other way.
So it's very well put. I think it's a constant battle that you have to put into, because your body also right now, if there is summer right now, and our body to cool down usually secretes sweat in order to make yourself cool down. So it is a natural state of homeostasis that we
Exactly.
do that, and even your mental muscles also have that kind of capacity. The only thing is that we don't practice because we don't take those required mental breaks which are there, which can be achieved through exercise, which can be achieved through meditation, mantra
For
japa.
females, I would say,
Yeah.
get into something that will develop your feminine.
Right.
Whatever helps you to
Mm.
develop your feminine, just get it out.
Right.
Probably it could be drawing, painting,
Painting, any expression.
music,
Yeah.
dance, any form of dance,
Right.
or cooking. Cooking is a very big stress buster for very many women.
Right.
So
Great.
culinary skills or any form of art, aesthetics, anything that'll develop your feminine, whatever
Mm.
makes you less masculine.
Right.
That is something which will help a female
Mm.
retain her mental health in a good way.
Great. Great. I think that was a really good insight, and I was able to learn a lot many things
Oh
from you.
my god.
And I hope the listeners who are listening to us, the future leaders who are already into leading positions, who are into policy making, any government agency or people from government are actually looking at this particular part, and they want to inculcate this kind of practices as a daily or a weekly or a monthly kind of an practices which can help to elevate mental wellness into their colleagues, into themselves, even into your family members. I think it is something that you can, either ways you carry your work stress to your family members, try and carry those particular practices to your family members which can help them out. So I think this has been a very insightful podcast.
Thank you.
I'm really thankful, ma'am, that you
Thank
have
you, thank
given such a great insight. And we'll like to listen more from you in coming topic which actually attuned to this particular topic. And is there any kind of opportunity that comes along? So we'll definitely want to call you back on the podcast.
Definitely.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much.
Namaskar.
Thank you.